Thanks, everybody. Welcome to Build. I'm your host, Ricky Camilleri, and our next guest is a stand-up comedian. She's a correspondent for The Daily Show with Trevor Noah. You've seen her on At Midnight with Chris Hardwick, True TV's Comedy Knockout, and now you can see Dulcé Sloan's hilarious stand-up on Comedy Central Stand-Up Presents Dulcé Sloan. Let's take a look. Everybody put your hands together for Dulcé Sloan. Let's hear it.
Hi.
Hi.
Hello.
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 Hello. You're still.
Oh,
Hi.
how are you?
I'm
Thanks
good.
for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Congrats on the special. It's hilarious.
Thank you so much. It's so funny because that bit's like so. I've added a little bit more to it, so it's funny because it's like it's something that I did because we taped this back in like February. Mm-hmm. So there's so many changes that I've done to that bit, and it's gotten like longer. So it's so interesting to see it like a couple of months ago and then now the way that I do it as compared to how I did it then. I also had to shorten some stuff just so I could get everything I wanted into the special.
Right, because it's a 22-minute special,
yes.
Right? Yeah, so, and you've probably been working on this material for a while now, right?
Yeah, like the New York stuff I started doing when I moved. Like it was like 2017, 2018 is when I started doing like the New York stuff. So that only has been within like the last 2 years that I've just started writing all of that.
What I love about the New York stuff is that any like real New Yorker worth their salt, it agrees.
Right.
You know, like every New York, and a person who's like, New York is the greatest city in the world, it's like, they're lying. Real New Yorkers are like, yeah, it's miserable. We don't know why we're here either.
See, and like I've had so many people like cape. Like I don't understand why people cape for this city so hard. Y'all own nothing. So I can't. You own an apartment, you own a car, like stop. Like this one little girl, I was at a show and she was just like, oh, well, you don't, like this is obviously like, she left her little town and it was her dream to move to New York. She's like 22, bottle blonde, like she's just living her best life. Like she's just out here being cute. And she was just like, you don't like New York? Well, I don't like the South. What? I talked about one city. You want to tell me you don't like 13 states? Ma'am, I'm not arguing with you today. I got breasts older than you. I'm not doing this. I'm not arguing with her. But there's so many people that are just like, I can't believe you're saying. I was like, I don't understand why it's such an outrageous thing for me to say that I don't like.
Because it is an outrageous thing to say, but it's not treated outrageously when people say that they don't like the South, which people say all the time.
People say they don't like the South. People say they don't like L.A., which I don't. Listen, L.A. is on fire, and I would still rather live there. I'll stand next to a toast of marshmallow, get a nice tan, whatever I need to do.
You like space.
I like space, girl. Yeah. I like space. The thing about here, somebody's always touching me. I don't like that. I thought I was going to get pregnant on the train last week because there was too many men standing next to me. It's a whole campaign. Like, I just don't understand. I get very worked up about this because people get very worked up with me about this. But people take it so personal and it's so weird to me. Because, like, when I lived in L.A., like, New Yorkers would go, I don't like L.A. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
I don't have to defend. I've never seen people defend this place so hard as people defend New York. It's very interesting to me. And what I think has happened is that they have fallen in love with their captor. I truly think is the issue.
I agree, and I don't necessarily understand defending New York right now. If you lived here in, like, 1983... and it was a completely different thing, I would kind of understand defending it there.
What was happening in 83? The mob was like
it was bankrupt. There were artists everywhere. It was really hard to get by. It was sort of crime-ridden. I could understand wanting to defend that, but right now it's like, I'm not a banker. I don't need to defend New York City.
You're fine.
Yeah.
You're fine. They gentrified Brooklyn. We're doing a great job. They're still wearing Timbs. You did it. Everyone's fine. But it's just very interesting to me, and people love to ask me about this. And I just love, hey, man, listen. If the Lord ever blesses me with a dragon, I'm burning it down. Just so you can build from the ashes and create something better for society. But it's just always been so funny. People cape so hard for this city. It's so interesting. But all of the stuff and you're right, because I've had a lot of people like message me online and been like, yeah, I'm from New York. You're absolutely right. And I think people like, it's just like sometimes like, thank you for your bravery. Thank you for stepping out and saying, and because I'll be at shows in New York and somebody will go, yes! You're just like, you don't have to run from the show. You'll be chased and tarred and feathered because you had the audacity to say that this isn't the greatest city on earth, which is a bold statement. Because for you to say something like that, I hope you've been to other cities.
Yeah, I don't necessarily...
On Earth. Earth big. I don't know if you're aware. There's a lot of places to go on the planet, Jack. And if you're not...
a lot to offer in these other places. Like, I don't understand specifically what makes New York the greatest city.
No one's given me qualitative proof.
Right.
And like I have a whole just like chunk of material on that, just people saying that to me. Also, like when people say it's the greatest city on earth, they never look at you. They always look slightly to the side and their eyes glaze over. Like they're never connected with you when they say this. And I think it's hilarious. Because the thing is, I've been to other English-speaking countries. Like I've been to like Scotland, I've been to Ireland, I've been to Scotland, I've been to Australia, and I've been to Toronto, Montreal, and Vancouver, and I've been to Mexico.
I'm a big fan of Toronto, actually.
Toronto's very cute.
Yeah.
Met a very nice boy in Toronto. Anywho's, so Toronto.
Shout out to him.
Shout out to what's his face. I'm not putting my business in the street like that, girl. We're not saying nobody's name on these here internets. But I've been to. If you've ever been to the beach, you've just been like, yep, there's better places on earth. Like if you've been to like the mountains, if you've ever seen like a gorgeous waterfall, like you cannot tell me that a trash city is literally a trash city. I'm not saying this is trash. When have you ever walked down the streets in New York and not had trash touch you? Or you've had to avoid it? When has there ever been a day where you haven't had to do that? Or you haven't had a plastic bag fly into your leg, as I like to call them, land jellyfish. Because I like to have fun.
You're from Atlanta, right?
Mm-hmm. Originally from Miami, I grew up in Atlanta.
Where did you start doing comedy? Atlanta?
Mm-hmm.
How did that start? What made you step into a comedy club for the first time or to an open mic?
A friend of mine worked at a comedy club, and so she would let me in for free because she worked the door. And I just started hanging out, and I met some comics, and just from talking to them in conversation, they were just like, oh, you need to do stand-up. And I'm like, absolutely not. And because I had a theater degree, so I knew how to perform.
You were a performer already.
Yes, so I was a performer. I did a lot of musical theater growing up. I did summer stock. Actually, one of the producers here, we did summer stock together in Quakertown, Pennsylvania, 15 years ago. I'm 22, by the way. So I did a lot of musical theater. I did a lot of theater, and I met a comic by the name of Big Kenny who was hosting and like doing shows there all the time. He was like, you know how to tell a story, you know what a punchline is, you know how to, since you know what funny is, and you know how to tell a story and to get a punchline, you could turn this into doing stand-up, to which I went, ah! And for 2 years, Big Kenny would hit me up every time because he taught a stand-up class. And eventually, between him and my mom, because my mom was like, you need to take this class. So the two of them convinced me to take it. And then I graduated from that class in May of 2009.
Were you writing at all before that? Like, and so you take this class?
Never wanted to be a comic. Stand-up comedy scared me because
Do you enjoy it now, or is it this thing that you fell backwards into and are like, sure, okay?
It was the interesting thing about stand-up for me has been like, it's interesting for someone to see something in you that you didn't see in yourself.
Absolutely.
And for you to be good at something that you had no idea how to do, nor any desire to do. So Big Kenny taught me how to write a joke, taught me how to write a set list. Because a lot of comics, when they're starting out, you learn all of those things on the ground, and then you have to learn how to be on stage. I already knew half that. I knew how to find the light. I knew how to plant my feet. I knew how to fill up an entire stage. So half of the battle when you start stand-up is just learning stage presentation. I already knew that.
Did you know how to be, because also the other thing with stand-up is not just knowing how to be on stage, but knowing how to be yourself on stage. Not acting, but knowing how to be you.
And that was the other weird part that bugged, and that was the thing that scared me about stand-up, was because I came up acting. I'd been acting since I was little. So stand-up, the main reason stand-up scared me is because I'd never been on stage other than like maybe like a speaking contest or something where I was on stage and I was myself and they were my words. It was very rare that even if I was myself, they still weren't my words, because I would do stuff at college for like convocations and stuff like that. So to be on stage, not only have it be my words and to be myself, but also it's, hey, here's this thing I thought was funny. You agree with this? I'm here to I drove here. Let me see if you like this. Like that's what it kind of. So that was what the hardest part was me. Is my words that I wrote myself. So that was the biggest difference between that and acting. But even stand up is always like a heightened. It's still like a heightened concept of yourself.
Right. You still have to contextualize it into a character in some way for the jokes to land.
Well, sometimes you do. Like when I do like the voice of the lady in the deli talking to me and things like that. It's very. You have those moments where when you're in that moment, because I have like a very storytelling style. So a lot of the stuff is personified by this is what happened and this is what happened and this is what happened. So when you're telling somebody a story that you're really excited about, think about how your whole demeanor changes. You're like, oh my God, I have to tell you what happened. No, sit down, I gotta tell you what happened. You're not gonna be like, what happened to me today? Like that, that's not you all the time.
Right.
So unless that's just you all the time, and then more power to you. But that's kind of what it is for stand-up. It's just like there's just this heightened kind of. It's just heightened. It's not a different character. It's just a heightened kind of state that you get into because it's a lot of times you're just excited and you want to share that with people because like this is this thing that I thought of that I want you to know. This is the thing that like I'm trying to give you this information. So sometimes a lot of even when comics are like really deadpan and really like just low key, they still have that just thing in them where it's just like I gotta tell you this.
Well, that's the thing of performing, right? Whether you're acting or doing anything, as soon as you start having to perform, the light is on you, the camera's on you, that thing gets there, right?
Oh yeah, because there's been plenty of times like I've been on the where like there's been a few times where I've had like a migraine, like like the in your eye headache. We just like please help me, whoever you pray to, just please Lord get this out my eyeball, and then but I still have to do a show, and I'll get on stage, and within 2 minutes it's gone,
Right.
And then as soon as I step off stage, boom, it's back.
It's
the weirdest thing.
That thing in your chest, though, that's like partially nervousness in a way. And like, isn't the idea, or I don't know about for you, but the idea of performing is like finding the way that you can push that away while at the same time feel it so you can have the energy, right?
The only time I get really nervous is if it's like a bigger show or if I'm just not sure what I'm going to say. Because there's plenty of times I get to shows, I'll just be in the green room. I'm like, you know what you going to say? No, me neither. And you just get on stage and you're just like, let's just do this together. Because there's sometimes I get on stage, I'm just like, we're all going to find out what I'm going to say at the same time.
Yeah.
Because I don't know what I'm going to talk about. And then sometimes it's very like set list. Like sometimes it's just sometimes I could do a 5-minute set and know exactly what I'm going to say or wing it. Or I've done a 45-minute set and knowing exactly what I was going to say. Or you just wing it, because sometimes your brain will just give you what you need, and then a lot of times I'm very in the moment with stuff. So if something happens in the room, or if there's something that happened that day, like when I was in Madison, Wisconsin, my friend David Perdue is a comic in Atlanta. He's very funny. Look him up, Kevin Hart, Heart of the City, all that. He was opening for me at Comedy on State, and they have a mustard museum in Madison, Wisconsin. And I was just like, because I was going to go to the Children's Museum. Fun fact about Children's Museum, if you don't have children, they don't want you to come. Because there's been a few times I'm like, ooh, Children's Museum, and it says if you are not with an adult must be accompanied by child, which is usually the other way. But I'm just like, but I'm a woman. I should be. Hey.
What did the Mustard Museum consist of?
A bunch of fucking mustard. Like, there was a whole
taste, or is it?
Oh, that was the end of the tour. So it's two floors, and you come in, and there's like
floors of mustard.
Yes, girl. So you come in, and there's like more like a shopping area upstairs. Okay. And then you get downstairs, and it's like the history of mustard. And because people always have like, there's a scripture about having like the faith the size of a mustard seed. I didn't know what a mustard seed looked like unless you have that really hard, grainy mustard that don't nobody want to eat. So you get to actually see like what the mustard plant looks like and like how they started making it, what the history is. And then it was like they had mustards that were just, and then they had like this whole wall of like mustards from every state, and then like ones from different countries. And I'm making it sound way more exciting than it probably was.
Was the history of mustard something that you were interested in before?
I would look at the history of anything.
Okay, fair.
Plus, the only other museum that was access to us was a children's museum, and me and David Perdue are both too tall. Although I was a very busty 9-year-old, but that's neither here nor there. And then they had this whole movie in the back showing you, like a very old-timey movie, showing you like making like a whole like mustard making thing. It was mustard theater. It was very hilarious. And then you get upstairs and they have this whole like there's mustards that were in this cooler, and the ones that are up on the shelf, and they were getting ready to close. So I think there was like 30 minutes before they were gonna close, and the lady was like, because they have a little sign that was like, you can only try 4 mustards per person. But me and my friend were making this lady laugh, just talking to her, and she just let us try. I think I tried 20 different kinds of mustard. Somebody's in these streets making a root beer mustard, guys. We need to fight him. We need to destroy his business. Then there was a root beer mustard. There was a blueberry mustard. It was actually more delicious than you think it is. There was like a beer. There's like 20. There was a pickle mustard. There was a cucumber mustard. There was tomato mustard, which I think is just ketchup. Which I said to the lady, like, ma'am, I think this is ketchup. She was like, no, it's a difference. But they had some fine cheeses that they would sell you, so we got a nice fancy thing. There was like blue cheese mustards.
That sounds actually really good, to be honest.
It was tasty. Yeah. Please know that.
If you like blue cheese, I like blue cheese.
I love a blue cheese.
Yeah.
So
sometimes people put blue cheese on a burger, and there's mustard on the burger with it. It's very tasty.
Praise God. And so we went to this mustard museum, and then the first show that I did last night, I think the first 10 minutes was just me talking about being at the mustard museum. So there's a lot of times we're just like, this is what happened today.
I mean, you had to have known while you were in there that you were getting like A+ material.
No, I wasn't.
Really?
I was just, listen, we were like I think we were the only black people in the like a 10-mile radius.
Checks out. Of the mustard museum?
Yes.
That checks out.
Right. So we were in an area of town that you can tell had just been like updated, but I think they updated around the museum. And so we were like sitting like in front of a fountain, but it was cold, so it wasn't on. So I don't ever think, because like there's sometimes I do stuff, like I think I was in Seattle and I went to the museum, and it was just, I went to the museum today, your museum's cool. And then I went to, sometimes nothing happens. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of time that nothing happens. America, I want you to know, you're not that interesting. There's a lot of times where we hang out with people, and it's just like I'll meet a guy and he's just like, well, I don't want this to end up in your stand-up. And I'm like, sweetie, you won't. Because you're boring. Like a lot of times nothing happens. So a lot of times I'm doing it's things that happen that I think were interesting or things that I'm thinking about. But on a daily basis, there's not much. I go to work, I go home, I watch a Korean drama, I go to sleep. That's about it.
It's so strange to not want to be in somebody's stand-up. What an honor it would be that you were interesting enough to talk about.
No, people do want to be in the stand-up.
Yeah.
And I have to tell them all the time, you didn't do anything. What am I supposed to do? Hey, we went to drinks and had a nice time and I didn't want to stab you? What am I supposed to talk about, sir? Or a lot of guys will like I've had guys say, well, I don't know if I want to date a comic. I don't want to end up. They don't want to end up. Men find women who do stand-up very intimidating. I don't know why, but.
Yeah, I don't either.
I'm a delicate flower. I don't know what the fucking problem is.
I want to go back to something that you were talking about when you were talking about doing stand-up for the first time and sort of falling into it. Mm-hmm. After having fallen into it and finding success and people telling you that you're good at it, are you able to sort of understand that success and understand being good at it, considering it was something that you never had any sort of ambition inclined towards doing?
Yeah, it's funny because like one of my professors in college told me I should do it because he had done stand-up years ago, and I was like, no! And when I posted on Facebook that I had done this graduation, he came to the he's like, I told you. And I was like, yeah, Fugate, thanks. So then it was like a college professor who saw it, and then I had friends in, I think after I started doing it, I had friends from high school that were just like, we knew it. You were always funny. And I'm just like, don't show up now with this bullshit. No, you never said that. Nobody was ever like, you should do stand-up. You 10 years out the way.
Right.
Don't come up with some, I always knew. No, you didn't. Mm-hmm. I was in a chemistry class with you, and we were both real confused. So don't start with me. Stand-up never stops being hard. Mm-hmm. So to be good at something that you never wanted to do.
Can you recognize your own goodness at it?
Sometimes. Because there's sometimes I say stuff on stage where I'm just like, yo, where'd that come from? Mm-hmm. Who said that? There are those times where I'm just like, man, where it's just so fun or something happens in the room. Like, I finally had somebody get up and run away. Oh, you have to understand, as a black person, that is a big deal. If somebody laughs and runs away, but she got up out of her seat and laughed and ran away, and I was just like, I did it! I did it! I finally, because that means, like, I've been in a situation with friends where they'll say something and I go, ah, and then you run away and then you come back. So for me to be on stage and somebody to do that at my show, oh, what a blessing. And there's those moments where you're just like, I am good at this. Yeah. Because there's those times where you're just like, man, I don't know if I'm good. Because I still have, like, before the Conan set that I did to promote the half hour, I was nervous because I had done Conan 3 years ago. So there was that pressure of, I need this to at least be as good as the set I did 3 years ago. But also this needs to be good because I'm promoting a half hour. And the jokes that are in this is like an advertisement, it's like a movie trailer for the half hour. So this needs to be good because it's a movie trailer for the half hour. So there was a lot of pressure there, and it was just like, and then now, because before when I did Conan in like 2016, it was an introduction, and now this is maintaining. So so now it's like, I have to show, and you also have to show that there's been some progress between then and now. And I put a lot of pressure on myself because before when I did Conan, it was just me and my manager and Miss Judy, who owns all of the management company. And then now it's, okay, my stylist came and my manager came and my publicist set this up. So there's all of these, and my friends doing social media for me. So now there's all these people who have invested their time into me. So I don't want to not have a good set because I don't want these people who support me and have put their time in me for that time to be for nothing. So now it's a different kind of pressure. And then my mom retired. So, because I told her she could. So now it's, okay, now I'm taking care of my family. So there's all this other stuff. So now it's just like, I gotta be good so I can get work. And now I gotta stay good so I can keep my mama in a house. Like because that's the jump that's happened in the last couple of years. Next question. What are we doing?
Next question. What do we got?
Hi. I wanted to ask if you considered going back to Broadway, like as an actor, if you'd see yourself doing like a one-woman comedy show, like how Colin Quinn or like Mike Birbiglia do on Broadway?
Oh, going to Broadway?
Yeah.
I thought she said going back, and I was like, girl, where was I there?
I guess, would you ever do something that straddles the line between stand-up and like a one-woman show?
I think every time I headline, it's a one-woman show. Right. I think every time I do every time, it's a one-woman show anytime I do stand-up. Every time you get on, then that's kind of... Honestly, I don't see a huge difference between a stand-up set in that one person format. Because I think those are...
more lighting direction.
I guess lighting directions and costuming. But those shows are also like 45-minute one-act shows. They're not like 2 acts, right?
No, yeah, they're generally like 45-minute to... I mean, maybe
that's
for big leagues are a
headlining.
little more.
A comedy club, you do 45, 50 minutes. Right. It's the same thing. So, girl, yeah, I'll do stand-up on Broadway. Don't seem that hard. If I'm doing the same set that I'm doing at the Richmond Funny Bone, I think I can do it on a bigger stage. But if I was to develop something more like more of like a storytelling show, I think that would be fun to do. Yeah, that sounds fun. go more back to the acting chops.
One more.
Hello.
Where'd you come from?
From back there.
Okay. Hi, friend.
Hi. So I'm not a comedian, but I am a musical performer. So I understand those like performance jitters and everything. And I was wondering, what do you do anything before a show to like get you prepared, or do you just like go out there?
I don't have, like I was saying before, like I don't have a lot of performance jitters if I'm prepared, or you just have those shows you're just like, hey man, I'm in the basement of a pizza shop in Williamsburg. Who gives a fuck what I say right now? Because some of the shows are like that, where you're just like, who cares? And those shows, a lot of times you like can get stuff. I think the best way to get rid of performance jitters is knowing that you're prepared. Mm-hmm. That's the best way. All you can do is just stay in the material that you know. And so you're a singer or a musician, or you do an
I
instrument?
play saxophone.
Okay. Yeah. Best part about that, you're not talking. So it's going to make it so much easier. So you never have to worry about losing your voice. As long as you can breathe and your fingers work, you're doing a great job. So I would stay away from doors and drawers.
Gotcha. Thanks.
But I think when you have that, it's just you have to, if ever I am nervous for something, I will go outside and I will run my set and run my set and run my set. Because since I still have that theater background, what I have to do is I have to get like when I did my Conan set, I had to get it in my body. Or when I did the half hour, I was working it and working it and working it and working it, because with having a theater background, like, you know what blocking is?
Yeah.
So your blocking would tell you what to say, and then what you would say would based on your blocking. You see what I'm? So I would use both of those things interchangeably to help me know where to stand and what to say. And then do the same thing with stand-up. Once it's in my body, I don't have to think. Mm-hmm. So I think with you playing an instrument, and sidebar, I've always wanted to learn how to play the saxophone.
I'll teach you.
Thank you, Fran. Once you get that in your body, then it's just muscle memory, where you don't even have to, you can't get nervous. You can get nervous, but it's going to come to the point where your body just kicks in. Where you're just like, girl, your fingers already know exactly where to be. So since you're so prepared for what you're about to do, your body will literally, like when I did my first Conan set, I didn't have to think about the next joke because my body knew what the next joke was. My mouth knew. Yeah. So when it comes to those jitters, when you're that prepared, your body will literally just kick in and go, no, I know what the next note is. Mm-hmm. I know what the next part of the song is. So I think that's how you get rid of that nervousness, is just knowing this is what I do. I am good at this, and that's why they pay me for it. And I'm good at this because I've been doing it for long enough to know exactly what I'm doing.
That muscle memory thing, that's theater training. That's exactly what people learn when they go to theater school.
Right. And so you learn your blocking, you learn your lines, and then your lines and the blocking are so in your body. Because like I was doing a play and we did it for 9 months. And I would get dressed and just go. I could think about 17 other things while I was talking. Because my body was, oh, girl, you stand here and say this. You stand here and say this. So those jitters a lot of times are just you feeling unprepared. Mm-hmm. And just going, I could mess this. Because that's the main thing about jitters, that you're so worried about messing something up that it freezes you for the whole thing. Yeah. But if if your body knows what to do, it'll kick in, and it's comforting in a very specific way, because you're not relying on your conscious brain to do this. Mm-hmm. It's your body going. It's like when people say you never forget how to ride a bike. Like, because there's songs that you probably played forever where you don't even have to think about it. Make every song like that. Okay. And that's how you get rid of all those jitters.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
You're welcome.
It's been so nice talking to you.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for being here.
You're welcome. I'm sorry my answers were really long and we didn't have time for another question.
Oh, do you want another question?
Sure. Did you have a question? Yeah.
What is it?
I just want to know, are you interested in doing film as well? And are there any other actors and or comedians that you'd like to work with?
Yeah, I've done film and TV before. There was an episode of Meet the Browns that keeps coming on, and I always get one random DM every couple of months. It was like, was that you on Meet the Browns? I was like, yep, yes it was. No, I've done film. I've done TV. I've done independent films, but it's just acting is acting. So I just want to work.
Is there anybody that you'd like to work with in particular, like a comedian or actor?
Who would I really want to? I would love to work with Viola Davis. Because she's like when she won her Emmy, they announced that she went to Juilliard. I don't know what Juilliard and the Emmys have to do, but if you went to Juilliard and you win an award, they go, she went to Juilliard, because Juilliard's like, yeah, come by the school. So she's such. Because the first time I ever saw her, and I was like, oh, this is theater training. So I would love to work with her just as like another theater kid, and just to see what her process is, because we all saw that Snot Bubble and Fences that just needed its own Oscar. I was like, I don't know how you fake that. I don't know how you recreate that. I don't think anybody in props was like, you know what we need? Snot Bubble.
I think she told Denzel about the snot bubble before. Or she was like, she was like, wait for the next take. I got something for you. You're gonna love this. And then afterwards, he was like, how did you do? You did that snot bubble?
I honestly feel like she was so in character that it just happened. And I think the director was just glad the camera was on.
It was Denzel, I think.
Was it?
Yeah, I think he directed that.
He did direct it.
Yeah.
So he's probably just glad the camera was on to just catch that.
Right.
Could you imagine that just being like a rehearsal take and you're just like, ah! When do I get that snot bubble back?
Did you get my snot bubble?
No, I did not. I apologize. They were reloading the camera. The battery died. So that's what I really would love to work with, just to see what her process is. You can also tell that she's a very generous actor. And so you can see someone that she's probably very supportive of her co-stars. So that's what I would want to see. I would want to see her theater brain work.
Comedy Central Stand Up presents Dulcé Sloan. People can see that. It's on the app, right? People can check it out.
Yes, and I think we can edit out me slinging water all over the place. I hope this was live, wasn't
Absolutely
it?
not. Absolutely not.
Dang
that stays in
it!
the picture. Everybody put your hands together for Dulcé Sloan. Let's hear it.
Thank you.